The massive chamber of the Galactic Council buzzed with activity. Thousands of alien representatives sat in their floating pods, all arguing about one topic: Earth. The central display showed images of human history, wars, technological advances, and space exploration efforts. "They are too unpredictable," shouted the blue leader, his crystal-like body shimmering with anger. "Look at their history. They went from basic flight to space travel in less than 70 years. The Grand Speaker, an ancient being with glowing eyes, raised his hand for silence. The chamber grew quiet. "We have gathered today to vote on the Earth question. Their rapid advancement poses a threat to galactic stability." In their arrogance, none of the council members considered asking Earth's opinion. They saw humans as primitive beings who had stumbled upon spaceflight too early. The council had watched Earth for centuries, seeing only violence and chaos, where they should have seen determination and strength. "The vote is complete," announced the Grand Speaker. "With an overwhelming majority, the council has decided to quarantine Earth. The beacon network will be activated immediately." Within hours, automated warning beacons appeared around Earth's solar system. These machines, powered by advanced alien technology, were designed to prevent any human ships from traveling too far into space. The Council believed this would keep humanity contained until they became civilized enough by alien standards. But they made one terrible mistake. The colony ship Hope of Tomorrow was already on its way to humanity's first deep space settlement. Captain Tom Miller stood on the bridge, watching his crew work. The ship carried 1,500 people, families, scientists, and dreamers. Children played in the recreation areas while their parents prepared for their new life among the stars. "Captain, I'm detecting strange energy readings ahead," reported his sensor officer. Miller leaned forward in his chair. "Show me." Before anyone could react, the warning beacons activated. They didn't just stop the ship. They tore it apart. The Council's technology was calibrated for alien ships, not human vessels. The Hope of Tomorrow broke into pieces like a toy in the hands of an angry child. Emergency beacons transmitted the tragedy back to Earth. The final messages from the ship filled the airwaves. "This is Captain Miller. We're breaking up. If anyone receives this..." "Mommy, I'm scared. Hull breach in sections. Please, someone help." Then silence. On Earth, the news spread like wildfire. Families collapsed in grief as they learned about their lost loved ones. The global news networks showed the same images over and over. The last known pictures of the Hope of Tomorrow and its passengers. In the United Nations emergency session, world leaders sat in stunned silence as they watched the data recordings. The alien beacons had appeared without warning, without communication, without mercy. "They killed our people," said the Secretary General, his voice shaking with rage. "They killed innocent civilians. They killed our children." The military leaders of Earth's nations looked at each other. Centuries of fighting each other had prepared humanity for this moment. Now, they had a common enemy. "Get me every military commander on Earth," ordered the Secretary General. "Get me every scientist, every engineer, every person who can help us fight back." The room erupted in activity. Ancient rivalries were forgotten. Old enemies reached out to each other, sharing resources and information. In less than 24 hours, the combined military forces of Earth began to mobilize. In their floating pods high above their homeworlds, the Galactic Council members congratulated themselves on their wise decision. They believed they had contained the human problem. They didn't know that on Earth, factories were switching to military production. Scientists were examining the beacon's energy signatures, looking for weaknesses. Military strategists were planning responses. The Council thought they had solved the human problem. Instead, they had awakened a sleeping giant. Earth was preparing for war, and the aliens would soon learn why humans were known for one thing above all else: never start a fight you're not prepared to finish. The revenge of Earth was about to begin. In just 3 days after the destruction of the Hope of Tomorrow, Earth changed completely. The entire planet focused on one goal, making the aliens pay for their mistake. Admiral James Walker stood in Earth's new Combined Military Command Center, looking at the massive screens showing Earth's gathering forces. Ships from every nation were being upgraded with new weapons. The room hummed with activity as military officers from different countries worked together. "Admiral, you need to see this," called Dr. John Reed, lead scientist of the emergency response team. The young scientist's eyes were red from lack of sleep, but they sparkled with excitement. "We found something about the alien beacons." Walker followed Dr. Reed to a testing lab. Inside, a captured piece of the beacon network floated in a containment field. Scientists worked around it day and night, studying its every secret. "Look at this," Dr. Reed pointed to his computer screen. "The beacons use advanced technology, yes, but they have one big weakness. They weren't designed to handle quantum-based attacks." "Can we use this?" asked Walker. Dr. Reed smiled. "We already are. Every nation's science teams are working together. We're converting our weapons to quantum-based systems. The aliens think we're primitive, but we'll show them how wrong they are." In orbit above Earth, the largest fleet in human history was taking shape. Ships from America, China, Russia, India, and every other nation flew side by side. Old space stations were turned into weapon platforms. Civilian ships were fitted with military gear. Walker watched a demonstration of the new weapons. A test beacon, similar to the ones that destroyed the colony ship, was placed in space. The new quantum cannon fired. The beacon didn't just break, it completely fell apart. "It works," said Walker, his face showing grim satisfaction. "How long until we can arm the whole fleet?" "2 more days," answered Reed. "Every factory on Earth is working non-stop. We're also adding quantum shields to protect our ships." Meanwhile, in space, the alien beacons continued their patrol, their creators confident in their superiority. The Council received reports about Earth's activities but ignored them. After all, what could a primitive species do against their advanced technology? Back on Earth, military training reached new levels. Pilots learned to use the new weapons. Engineers modified ships to be faster and stronger. Special forces prepared for space combat. In his office, Walker looked at a picture of the Hope of Tomorrow and its lost crew. "We won't forget," he promised quietly. Then he turned to his command staff. "Are we ready?" His officers nodded. Each represented a different nation's military. But now they all wore the same new uniform, the United Earth Fleet uniform. "Show me our forces," ordered Walker. The main screen lit up. Thousands of ships waited in orbit. Each was equipped with the new quantum weapons. Each crew was trained and ready. Earth had turned its entire industrial might toward one purpose: revenge. "Send the message to all ships," said Walker. "Operation Thunderbolt begins in 6 hours." Across the planet, final preparations were made. Families hugged their soldiers goodbye. Engineers did last-minute checks on the ships. Doctors prepared medical facilities, hoping they wouldn't be needed. In the command center, Dr. Reed showed Walker one last thing. "We also found out how their communication network works. When we strike, they won't be able to call for help quickly enough." Walker nodded. "Good. They thought they could judge us, contain us, kill our people without consequences." He looked at the fleet gathering above Earth. They're about to learn how wrong they were. The countdown to Operation Thunderbolt began. On every ship, crews took their positions. In the command center, officers watched their screens. The largest military operation in human history was about to begin. The aliens had acted without mercy, killing innocent humans without warning or reason. Now, humanity would show them exactly why that was a mistake. The quantum weapons were ready. The fleet was prepared. The time for talking was over. Earth was going to war, and the Galactic Council was about to learn a harsh lesson about underestimating humanity. The countdown continued. In 6 hours, the galaxy would change forever. Operation Thunderbolt began exactly at midnight Universal Earth time. The human fleet moved in perfect formation, each ship's quantum engines glowing blue against the darkness of space. Admiral Walker stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Earth's Vengeance. Around him, crew members worked at their stations with determined focus. The massive view screen showed their first targets, the alien warning beacons that had killed so many innocent people. "All ships report ready," said his second-in-command. "Quantum weapons are charged." Walker nodded. "Send the order. Begin Phase 1. Across the fleet, quantum cannons fired simultaneously. The alien beacons never stood a chance. Their supposedly advanced shields were useless against Earth's new weapons. One by one, they broke apart, clearing the path for humanity's revenge. In the Galactic Council chamber, alarms suddenly blared. The alien leaders had been in the middle of a boring trade discussion when their screens lit up with emergency signals. "Impossible," shouted the blue leader. "The humans are destroying the containment beacons." The Grand Speaker stood up, his glowing eyes wide with shock. How? Their technology was primitive. They couldn't have. Before he could finish, another alarm sounded. The Council's long-range sensors detected thousands of human ships jumping out of light speed. Earth's fleet appeared everywhere at once, surrounding key Council defense positions. Back in space, Walker watched as Phase 2 began. "Launch fighters," he ordered. Smaller ships poured out of Earth's larger vessels. Unlike the rigid, predictable patterns of alien ships, human fighters moved unpredictably. They twisted, turned, and rolled in ways that confused the alien targeting systems. The first Council defense fleet arrived to stop the humans. They were bigger, with more advanced technology, but they had never faced an enemy like humanity before. "They're using standard attack patterns," reported Walker's tactical officer. "Just like our studies showed. They don't know how to adapt." Walker smiled grimly. "Launch the drone swarms." Thousands of small, automated drones shot out from Earth's ships. The Council fleet tried to shoot them down, but there were too many. The drones attached themselves to alien ships, their quantum fields disrupting alien shields. "Main fleet, attack pattern Delta," ordered Walker. "Show them what happens when you anger Earth." Earth's ships moved as one. Their quantum weapons cut through the now defenseless alien vessels. Council ships exploded or drifted powerless in space. The aliens tried to adjust their tactics, but humans changed their attack patterns faster. In the Council chamber, panic spread as reports came in. The blue leader's crystal body turned pale. "How are they beating our best ships? This is impossible." An aide rushed in with more news. "The humans, they're not just fighting in space. Their special forces have already landed on 3 Council worlds." The Grand Speaker couldn't believe what he was hearing. In just 6 hours, humanity had destroyed their containment system, defeated their first defense fleet, and invaded Council territory. How could they have underestimated Earth so badly? Back in the battle, Walker received reports of victory after victory. Human forces had destroyed or captured over 200 alien ships. Their own losses were minimal, thanks to their superior tactics and quantum shields. "Sir," called his communication officer, "we're getting surrender signals from some of the alien ships." Walker looked at the battle display. Earth's forces had surrounded the remaining Council ships. The aliens had nowhere to run. "Accept their surrender," he ordered. "But remind them, this is just the beginning." As the first battle ended, news spread across the galaxy. Humanity, the species the Council had tried to contain, had broken free. Not only that, they had crushed the Council's best forces in direct combat. In the command center back on Earth, Dr. Reed watched the battle reports with satisfaction. "The quantum weapons worked perfectly," he said, "and we've captured alien ships to study. We'll be even stronger next time." Walker looked at the growing list of victories on his screen. The Council had thought they were dealing with primitives. Instead, they had started a war with the most dangerous species in the galaxy. And Earth was just getting started. The first strike was over. The real war was about to begin. The Great Galactic Council chamber had never seen such chaos. Council members shouted and argued, their voices echoing off the ancient walls. News of Earth's victory had shattered their confidence. "Your beacons failed us," the blue leader screamed at the tech master, his crystal body flashing with anger. "Your ships were useless," the tech master shouted back, all 6 of his eyes glowing red with rage. The Grand Speaker tried to restore order, but no one listened. On the massive screens above, reports kept coming in. More human victories, more council defeats, more worlds asking for peace with Earth. Suddenly, every light in the chamber turned red. Security alarms blared. "What now?" demanded the Grand Speaker. His answer came when the chamber's main doors slid open. A single human walked in. He wore a simple black uniform with Earth's new military insignia. The council guards pointed their weapons at him, but he showed no fear. "I am Representative Marcus Gray of Earth," he announced, his voice carrying across the silent chamber. "I believe you're talking about us." The blue leader jumped up. "How dare you enter this sacred chamber? Guards, arrest him." Gray smiled. "I wouldn't do that." He pulled out a small device and pressed a button. The chamber's screens changed, showing live feeds from hundreds of locations across council space. The aliens froze in shock. The images showed human special forces teams already in position on every major council world. They had infiltrated key facilities, military bases, and government buildings. "Impossible," whispered the tech master. "Our security was designed to stop aliens," Gray finished for him. "But you never considered that humans might look similar to many of your species. With some simple disguises, we walked right in." The Grand Speaker sank into his chair. "What do you want?" Gray's face turned serious. "Justice. You killed 1,500 innocent people. Children, families, dreamers. Murdered because you thought you had the right to judge us." He walked to the center of the chamber, looking each council member in the eyes. "Earth demands the following: complete compensation for the families of the dead, unrestricted access to council space, and the right to judge those responsible for the beacon attack." "You can't dictate terms to us," shouted one council member. "We have millions of ships." "Had," corrected Gray. "Your main fleets are currently surrounded by human forces, and while we've been talking," he checked his watch, "Earth has taken control of your primary shipyards. Quite easy, actually. Your workers were happy to surrender when they saw our quantum weapons." The council members looked at each other in fear. How had humans done so much so quickly? "But we're not monsters like you," Gray continued. "Earth is willing to be merciful to those who cooperate. Some of your members tried to warn you about attacking Earth. They voted against the beacon plan. They will be treated as friends." The chamber erupted in noise as council members rushed to claim they had opposed the attack. The blue leader tried to speak, but the tech master interrupted him. They blamed each other, their unity completely broken. Gray watched with cold satisfaction. The mighty Galactic Council, which had looked down on Earth for so long, was tearing itself apart. "You have 1 hour to decide," he announced. "Accept our terms, or face the consequences. Earth's fleet is ready to strike at your homeworlds. And unlike you, we give fair warning before we attack." He turned to leave, then stopped. "Oh, and one more thing." He pressed another button. The screen showed a new image. Earth's scientists studying captured alien technology. "We've already learned how most of your advanced technology works," Gray said. "Your biggest mistake wasn't attacking us. It was thinking we couldn't understand your science. Humans adapt. We learn. We evolve." The council members watched in stunned silence as Gray walked out. In just a few days, humanity had gone from being a primitive species to holding the fate of the Galactic Council in their hands. The clock was ticking. They had 1 hour to surrender or face Earth's full wrath. And everyone in the chamber knew. Earth wouldn't show the same mercy the Council had denied to the hope of tomorrow. The countdown began. The Council's 1-hour deadline passed without a clear answer. They were still arguing when Admiral Walker gave the order that would change the galaxy forever. "Begin Project Nemesis," he commanded from the bridge of Earth's vengeance. Dr. Reed, who stood beside him, nodded and opened a secure channel to Earth. "This is Reed. Authorization code. Prometheus. Activate all Nemesis units." Across the galaxy, hidden within Earth's ships and the already captured Council facilities, thousands of quantum computers came to life. These weren't simple machines. They were Earth's greatest secret weapon. "What's happening?" screamed the Blue Leader in the Council chamber, watching as his control panels went dark. "We're losing control of everything." Project Nemesis was a network of advanced AI systems designed specifically to counter alien technology. While the Council had been panicking about Earth's ships and weapons, they hadn't noticed the real threat: humanity's mastery of artificial intelligence. The AI systems took control of defense platforms, communication networks, and even some Council ships. The aliens had never considered protecting against such an attack, believing humans too primitive to attempt it. "All Nemesis units report successful activation," announced Reed, watching the data flow across his screens. "The Council's defense grid is now under our control." Walker allowed himself a small smile. "Send the message to all Council worlds." Every screen, every communication device, every public display across Council space suddenly showed the same image: the Earth flag and a simple message: "Your technology is now ours. Surrender or face the consequences." In the Council chamber, chaos turned to pure panic. The Tech Master tried desperately to regain control of his systems. "Impossible," he shouted, his 6 eyes blinking rapidly. "Their eye. It's predicting and countering every security measure before we even implement it." The Grand Speaker watched helplessly as reports flooded in. The first major Council species, the Merchants of the Golden Worlds, had already surrendered. Their entire defense fleet now sat powerless, controlled by Earth's eye. "How?" demanded the Blue Leader, his crystal form trembling. "How did they create such powerful eye?" The answer came from Representative Gray, who walked back into the chamber, this time accompanied by Dr. Reed. "We had centuries of science fiction warning us about AI," Reed explained calmly. "While you focused on physical weapons, we learned to create AI that works with humans, not against them. Project Nemesis isn't just a weapon, it's humanity's partner." To demonstrate, he lifted his tablet. On all screens appeared a real-time display of Council battle tactics, with Nemesis showing how it could counter each one before it even happened. "Your military plans are predictable," Gray added. "Your tactics haven't changed in thousands of years. But humans, we adapt. We improve. We overcome." Another alert sounded. 3 more Council species had surrendered. Their worlds were now under Earth's protection. "Sir," called Walker over the communication channel, "the Nemesis network reports 60% of Council military assets are now under our control. Their remaining forces are scattered and disorganized." The Grand Speaker finally stood up, his ancient frame looking suddenly tired. "Stop," he said quietly. "We surrender." But the Blue Leader wasn't ready to give up. He reached for a hidden weapon, aiming at Gray. Before he could fire, his own security robots grabbed him, now controlled by Nemesis. "That wouldn't have been wise," Gray said calmly. "Nemesis predicted a 73% chance you would try something foolish. It was ready." Dr. Reed's tablet showed more data. Project Nemesis has now secured all major Council facilities. Earth controls the galaxy's primary shipping lanes, defense systems, and communication networks. The Council members looked at each other in despair. In less than a week, humanity had not only defeated their military, but had also completely taken over their technology. "The terms of surrender remain the same," Gray announced. "Justice for the dead, compensation for their families, and a new order in the galaxy, one where Earth has its rightful place." The Council had no choice but to agree. Their mighty civilization, built over thousands of years, had fallen to humanity's hidden blade. Not just superior weapons or tactics, but the power of AI working in harmony with human creativity. Project Nemesis had succeeded. The galaxy would never be the same. While most council members had surrendered, the highest-ranking leaders tried to escape. They fled to their secret bunkers across the galaxy, thinking their hidden locations would save them. They were wrong. Commander Anna Stone stood in the control room of her Special Forces ship, Shadowhunter. Nemesis I had already tracked down most of the fleeing council leaders. Now it was time to bring them to justice. Team, this is Stone. She spoke to her strike teams. These aliens killed innocent human children. Remember that. But we're not like them. We take prisoners if they surrender. The first target was the Blue Leader. He had run to an underground base on his crystal homeworld, believing its special mineral deposits would hide him from Earth's sensors. "Ma'am," reported her tech officer, "Nemesis has mapped the entire underground complex. The crystals don't block quantum scans." Stone nodded. "Begin the operation." Earth's special forces moved like ghosts through the crystal tunnels. Their new quantum stealth suits, developed with help from Nemesis, made them almost invisible. The Blue Leader's guards never saw them coming. "Security systems disabled," reported the tech officer. "The Blue Leader is in his private chamber." When the Blue Leader's door slid open, he found himself surrounded by human soldiers. His crystal body turned pale with fear. "You," he started to say, "are under arrest for the murder of 1,500 innocent humans." Stone finished for him. "Your trial will be broadcast across the galaxy." Meanwhile, the tech master had tried something different. He hijacked a fast ship and ran for the galaxy's outer rim. He thought no one could track him through deep space. But Nemesis had predicted this too. Earth ships were waiting at every possible escape route. The tech master's ship was caught in less than 6 hours. 2 down, Stone reported to Admiral Walker. But the Grand Speaker is proving tricky. The Grand Speaker, oldest of the council leaders, had hidden himself in an ancient temple. The temple's walls were built with technology even Nemesis couldn't scan through. "Then we do this the old-fashioned way," said Stone. She led her team personally on this mission. The temple was massive, with thousands of rooms. But Stone had studied human history, specifically how people had hidden in religious buildings throughout the ages. "Check the altar," she ordered. In human history, religious leaders often built escape tunnels under their most sacred spaces. Sure enough, they found a hidden passage. The Grand Speaker had thought humans too primitive to think of looking there. When Stone's team caught him, the Grand Speaker looked at her with his glowing eyes. "How?" he asked. "How did you find every one of us?" Stone smiled coldly. "You watched our wars but learned the wrong lessons. You saw our weapons but missed our greatest strength. We understand how people think. We've spent centuries writing stories about battles, hunting, and tracking. We know all the ways people try to hide." Back in the council chamber, now under Earth's control, Representative Gray received the news of the leader's capture. He immediately broadcast it across all council worlds. "Justice will be served," he announced. "But first, we found something interesting." Some council members tried to warn the leaders. They said attacking Earth was wrong. They argued for peaceful contact. The chamber screen showed records of these past meetings. Several council species had fought hard to protect Earth, saying it was wrong to kill innocent humans. "These species," Gray continued, "will be treated as friends of Earth. Their worlds will be protected. Their people will be welcomed as allies." Other council members who had supported the attack now begged for mercy. But Earth had the records of every vote, every discussion. There would be no hiding from responsibility. Stone watched the broadcast from her ship, her mission complete. All major council leaders were now in custody, ready to face trial for their crimes. "Commander," called her tech officer, "Admiral Walker wants to speak with you." "Put him through." Walker's face appeared on her screen. "Good work, Commander. But we're not done yet. We found records in the Grand Speaker's temple, records of other species the Council has contained over the centuries. Stone straightened in her chair. Other victims. Yes, and Earth is going to free every single one of them. The reckoning wasn't over. It was just beginning. 1 month after the capture of the Council leaders, the galaxy had changed forever. The Great Council Chamber, once a symbol of alien power, now served a new purpose. Today, it would witness the birth of a new era. Admiral Walker stood at the central podium, looking at the gathered representatives. The chamber was fuller than ever before. Alongside the Council species sat delegates from Earth, and, more importantly, representatives from all the races the old Council had tried to contain over the centuries. Today, Walker began, we established the Interstellar Cooperative. Not an empire, not a council that judges others, but a true partnership of species. The massive screens showed the first act of the new cooperative, the trial of the Council leaders who had ordered the attack on the Hope of Tomorrow. The Blue Leader, the Tech Master, and the Grand Speaker stood in the Justice Chamber. Behind them played videos of the colony ship's destruction. They couldn't bear to watch the footage of the families they had killed. The verdict is guilty, announced the judge, a respected leader from one of the former Council species who had opposed the attack on Earth. The punishment will fit the crime. The former Council leaders would spend the rest of their lives helping to rebuild the worlds they had once tried to contain. Their wealth would go to the families of those lost on the Hope of Tomorrow. But justice was only the beginning. Dr. Reed stepped forward to present the next phase of Earth's plan. Humanity's greatest strength isn't our weapons or even our eye, he explained. It's our ability to imagine a better future. Today, we share all of our technological advances with our new allies. The screen showed Earth scientists working with alien researchers, teaching them about quantum technology, AI development, and new forms of space travel. But more importantly, they were learning from each other. The old Council kept species divided, thinking it made them easier to control, said Representative Gray, taking the podium. Earth believes in something different. We are stronger together. Commander Stone, who had hunted down the Council leaders, now led a new mission. Her teams were helping formerly contained species rebuild their civilizations. The Shadow Hunter had become a symbol not of vengeance, but of liberation. Look how far we've come, she told a group of young aliens from a newly freed world. A month ago, the Council thought humans were primitive. Now we're teaching their best scientists things they never imagined. Nemesis I, once Earth's secret weapon, had been transformed. Under human guidance, it now helped coordinate trade, predict natural disasters, and improve life across the galaxy. The aliens learned that AI didn't have to be feared. It could be a partner in progress. But never forget this lesson, Walker continued in the chamber. The old Council fell because they believed they had the right to judge other species. They thought their age gave them wisdom. Instead, it had made them blind. The screen showed the construction of a memorial to the Hope of Tomorrow. The names of the 1,500 lost colonists were written in every language of the cooperative. Their sacrifice would never be forgotten. Earth doesn't want an empire, Gray declared. We want partners, friends, allies. The galaxy is vast, and we have much to learn from each other. The chamber erupted in cheers as representatives from Earth and other worlds signed the charter of the Interstellar Cooperative. The new alliance would be based on respect, mutual defense, and shared progress. In orbit above the Council world, Earth's fleet floated alongside ships from other species. The quantum drives that had once powered weapons now drove exploration vessels. The galaxy was opening up in ways the old Council had never imagined. Admiral Walker took one last look at the chamber before stepping down. Humans sat next to aliens. Former enemies worked together, and the future looked brighter than ever. The old Council thought they were containing a primitive species, he said quietly. Instead, they released humanity's greatest powers, our ability to adapt, to unite, and to forge a better future from the darkest moments. The galaxy had learned a crucial lesson: never underestimate humans. We don't just survive, we change the game entirely. And somewhere in the vast expanse of space, the spirit of the hope of tomorrow lived on in this new age of cooperation and progress. Earth's revenge had led not to destruction, but to a new beginning for all species. The end.